Hi, welcome to the blender part of the Frosty Alpha Dragon Age Inquisition tutorial. The basics in this pretty much can be used between games because you have to keep in mind the LODs and everything like I explained in the editor tutorial. So let's begin. So 2.8 by default has left click select. I've got right click because I prefer the old version, or rather I was used to it. To get to it, to be right click again, edit preferences, key map and right. A to select all to get rid of camera and lights, and space bar, type in FBX to get import and export showing. Press that. And we want the head first. Okay, so what I normally do, which you'll notice is different when you import yours, is I delete all the other LODs and then export it again. So it only imports LOD 0 every time, because otherwise every time I have to delete all the LODs, and because these are only used for the testing the shape of the hairs, I don't need them to be every single LOD. If I was editing it for a mod, then yeah, but then it would also need a skeleton. Okay, so we're importing now. Importing the hairs. So I am using PB as the base. So we hide the skeleton, maximize its list, select each LOD other than LOD 0 by shift and left clicking, putting the mouse back into the viewport and press delete. Now A to select all, hide, import the other hair we want to use to make this mesh mod. As you can see, this hasn't got a skeleton. First, I'll delete each of the LODs we do not need. Well, we don't need for the edit. I'm going to show you how to create the other LODs again later. If you only want to create the mod for LOD 0, just hide the others, do not delete them. Okay, let's continue. So, under here, there is no Vertex Groups because this was not assigned to a skeleton. That means it won't move at all. No animation whatsoever. So, to make it a bit easier later, press plus, double click and type head. Press tab to go into edit mode and press assign. This will assign the head bone to every single vertex. Now if we went into weight paint, it's completely red. So now if you wanted to, okay, say this was a Sims head, her, not head, and you wanted to edit it to work with the game. So head bone is the main one, and then shoulders for any long hairs got put past the shoulders, you'd wait to the neck bone, neck 1, and possibly spine 4. And sometimes the hairs get assigned to the jaw as well. So let's think of this as a brand new mesh, not one that actually existed in the game. Because the edits I'm doing now, well, we won't need them because I only want the fringe. So we've created a new one and it turns blue. This means this bone does not, or this vertex group, which is technically the bone, does not affect this mesh whatsoever. So let's change that to neck. Now if I was to left click and hold down, I could brush, and the red area is the most affected by this bone in game. The lighter the colour, so very light blue, is the least affected before it goes to dark blue, and that means not affected. Control Z to undo, even though I don't really need to undo because I'm deleting these parts in a second. F to change the size, so you press F and just move the mouse to increase the size or decrease the size. So like that. Shift F to decrease the strength. So now when I do it, it should not have any dark red areas. Okay, so that means it'd be least affected there. But because this is supposed to be the neck bone, I press Ctrl Z too many times. It would probably only affect this area of the mesh. So if we wanted to decrease this further, we'd press Ctrl F and drag it out to a level lower than the paint one we did for the Shift F. And then that would make it lighter. And then if we want to increase it again, we go back to 1. And that puts it back to the default we had after doing the Shift F. So Shift F to change strength, which will be your default strength. Control F to change how that is affected. So as you can see, it's still painting, but it's making any dark areas that are at higher strength than it is lighter. But it's making any area that's lighter than it darker. So it should get to the same, yeah, green. Okay, so that's the base of weight painting. For hers, it's a lot easier. For body meshes, it's harder because you have to take into account all the different bones, the left arm, right arm, the elbows, the hands, the feet, the knees, and so on and so on. But this is just a basic run through, just give you a good idea of what needs doing. So let's go back to object mode. Delete that. Assign all, just in case I accidentally edited the weighting on the fringe. Now go into edit mode, so tab. Now, while pressing L, while hovering over these little dots called vertices, it should select them. Okay. I don't want any of these little side bits because it might not look right. Okay. Now I want the internal ones. Now you can do this by moving the mouse like that. So holding the mouse wheel down and rotating. Shift mouse button to go up and down. Control, not mouse button. Shift and mouse wheel to go up and down. Control and mouse wheel to go left and right. Sorry, I should have said that before I started using it. So we press this X-ray vision to see completely through, and then if we press L, it will select those areas, and I think we've actually got them all. Okay, so go out of X-ray, press P, which is separate, and separate by selection. Press tab, right click on the hair, press delete, making sure you're deleting the hair, not the bit you've just separated to keep for the other mesh. Now, if we weren't going to join this to the other LOD, it would need to be applied to the skeleton. This is an example just for any straight swaps you're doing. It's a bit easier this way. So right click the hair, shift right click the skeleton, Control P to parent it to object. As you see, it's moved it in the list under the skeleton now. Let's hide the skeleton again. Now, if you want to manually apply the skeleton, it's add modifier, armature, and skeleton. But because we're joining this mesh to this mesh, it would actually automatically give it that skeleton. So shift left click, Control J for join. Now they're joined. And okay. So we've done the weighting. So as we can, oops, go to weight paints again. Select head just to make sure it's got it. Yep, there it is. And okay. Oops. Just pressing Control Z. Okay. Hide. I thought I deleted them, but I didn't. L to select the ones we want to delete. Oh. I suppose we're making mistakes, at least shows you how to fix them. If we didn't want to select that, so Shift and L to unselect. Now press delete vertices. Okay, I actually deleted one of them little hairs I like. I'll just delete it. It's only one little extra, or less hair. Unhide that. Shift and right click in there, or Shift and left click here. Making sure the last one we pick is the PB LOD 0. Control J for join. And then that's that. Tab mode, select all by A. Go to mesh, clean up, merge by distance. I remove 517 vertices that were close together by a 0.0001 meters. However, when joining meshes like this, I prefer to make that a little bit closer. Get rid of one of the zeros. Now it's remove 750 vertices. Okay, so we'll just measure that up with the head. Generally, because we kept this as a base, we won't get any of the errors you can sometimes get, which is basically, if it looks right here in editor, sometimes it might not look right in game. This is because every hair changes the actual shape of the scalp. In this case, it will look like you got the scalp poking through your hair, which technically it is. So them areas needed to be edited out a bit further, so they're not as seen. I'm going to import this mesh over to her meshes just so I can show an example of that. Oh, hopefully it shows. No, my luck it won't. So now we need to create the other LODs. So Shift D and then left click to apply. Shift D again. But if you accidentally move before pressing left click, it does that. So we would press delete. But we want to rename each LOD as we go. Okay, so we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on top of LOD 0, which is what we needed to import over the PB hair mesh, which is this one. Let's see, 1 to 5, including 0. So LOD 0 needs to be a lot more than LOD 5. So we need to use the Decimate tool on each of these LODs to gradually decrease the face count. So we go to the little wrench, the modifier, go to decimates, and by default it's 8,273. Decrease this to 0.9 and it's just gone down to 7,000. You can manually add the modifier this way, like I just showed you, or Shift and left click, making sure the last one is with the modifier applied here. Well, not actually applied, but actually in the list. Press Control L and modifiers, and now if we go to LOD 2, it has it, and we can just decrease as we go down. And this is thank you to Dunmer from Nexus Mods that they found that out. I really wish I found that out a lot earlier. It saves a lot of time doing this. Okay, so that's our LODs sorted. So we want to hide the skeleton. Select our LODs and the skeleton. Let's actually save. I just saved over an old one. There's a base exactly the same as this, so it's alright saving over it. But I sometimes actually do save over ones I do not want to save over. So now we want to export. Spacebar, type in FBX again, or FB. Go to export. Now we need selected objects selected, otherwise it will export the face, eyes and lashes too, which would cause an error on import. Because we exported from Frosty Editor with meters, this needs to be changed to 0.01. So on export, it's basically gone to centimeters, which we need for Frosty Editor. Press Shift, left click lamp and camera, so they're not exported if you do actually have them in the scene still. Go to geometry, click tangent space, make sure apply modifiers is ticked, as it will apply each Decimate Tool modifier that you used. I have deformed bones normally applied and baked animation off. Then you can press the plus button, type in Frosty Alpha meters, so you know that's your settings when you've exported from Frosty Editor. Press OK, and now you've got it in your list. If you want to save over it again, you just type exactly the same name and it saves over that setting. So press enter to export. Now in here, we click on import. Hair mesh. Humanoid, human female skeleton, not the HFD. Always make sure you import with the same skeleton the mesh you're replacing uses. Okay, so it's looking all right there. And I said I wanted to also replace another one just for testing. What's the cute mesh? Okay, that's definitely going to be slightly different. Okay, let's replace that one as well. Actually, might replace a few just to show. Yeah, well, actually. Import. Yep. Do we have the same LODs? Okay. You. Okay, that's definitely going to have a different. And actually, this is a way to show you that some hairs don't look right on replacing certain hairs because of the scalp texture it uses. Okay. And what are you? Oops, wrong one. Okay, let's import on that one as well. I want at least one to show the scalp through so I can show you what I meant. Human female. Okay, now we can press launch. Do save if you want, but if you're only replacing one mesh, it's not that annoying if you lose the save, but it normally does auto save and you can choose how many auto saves it does max per project. See, initiated auto save. Launch. Launching. Sorry. Such a bloody random mood. Actually, no, that's actually me most of the time. Randomly sing and with random words. Which I tend to do when trying filling the silence. Okay, apparently reshade needs updating. Let's turn off the reshade. Don't need it on. Okay, so we can test the hairs in the character creator and new game, and in swapping the hair in Black Emporium, but we also need to run about with the hair. This is especially to test any long hairs if they were weighted correctly, or any outfits you've made. Okay, let's continue. I'm pretty sure I'm in the Black Emporium. This makes me want to sing.
With care, it has been known to bite.
Oops, wrong way. I can't believe I've nearly run out. Okay, so it's technically the base head anyway, but so this is on that one. As you can see, there's a gap there we didn't see in Blender. So in that case, it's probably best to apply the texture in Blender, but I've not worked out a way for it not to be invisible yet. So in that case, for me, it's better to test in 2.79. Let's just look if I get any of the errors that I wanted. No, nope, not on that one. Scalp texture is actually alright for that one as well. Okay, this is what I meant by head shape changing. It actually does that under the hair as well, which can be a pain. No, it's not going to do it. Oh, they were the only ones I replaced, didn't it? Oh, that one as well. Nope. This one worked for every head shape I swapped it from. Typical. But anyway, I'm going to end the tutorial there. I might do a more intense tutorial with the outfits once I figure out what kind of outfit I'd like to do for the tutorial. So thank you for watching. I hope it helped. Okay, so I'd already said goodbye, but I forgot to show sculpting and doing other various edits in edit mode, other than just the separating the meshes. So let's hide the skeleton, hide these, because I'm going to apply the change to them. So we had a gap here in game, so let's go to sculpt mode. The grab tool, F to change the size of it, Shift F to do the strength. So let's have a look. That's only that strength. If I did it, it would be more, yeah, stronger. That's angle. I've never really found a need for that one, really. Okay, so this is where the little gap, there it was. Okay. This might be a bit easier. This is going to have to be easier in edit mode. So press, ooh. Okay, so you can see after doing the merge now that some of these actually affect this area as well now. Like that. Yeah. But it was just this side where I had that issue. So hopefully. Oh. So I've pressed G for grab, Y to move on the Y axis. If I wanted to move it on the X, it would be grab G and X, G and Z for on the Z axis. For rotating, it is R and X, Y, or Z. And for scale, it is S plus Y, X, or Z. Okay. Now there isn't really anything to sculpt on this, except maybe change that just a tiny little bit. It might stop some clipping on some of the wider forehead choices. Okay, so I think that's it for the editing on here. So let's go back to object mode, unhide these lovelies, and Control L, object data. Right, now, yep, they've still got all the decimate applied. And this has made it so these have all moved the object data backwards. Which is why I also prefer leaving the Decimate tool and let the export apply it rather than applying it separately, because it would turn that back into the 100% again. Okay. Is there anything else? Actually, let's maybe make the ponytail just a tad longer with sculpt. And then we can apply it again. Oops. Yeah, that's because the brush being that big, it's catching this part as well. But now I'm not catching as much as I wanted to. Okay, I just made that tad longer. Let's go back to object mode, and you'll actually be able to see this a tad easier than before, I think. Let's... Oh, has it already applied it? Huh. Hasn't it? Yeah. Okay, so that actually applied it. But if it didn't, all you'd have to do is repeat the process of selecting all the shift and left click and Control L and then object data. Okay. And just re-export and retest in game. FB export. Okay, so that's the final actual end of this tutorial. If I decide to go further into sculpting or editing, I will make another video. Thank you for watching, and I hope it helped.